Hey, Glory.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good to hear. Oh, cool. I'm back. Try to get this thing a little bigger.
I
Awesome.
closed the deal yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Is it? Are you buying it to wholesale it, or are you just gonna?
No, I'll hold it, then I'll fix it. I'll start fixing it like February.
I thought you had another one you were gonna fix that you're working on.
Uh, no. This is the one that I showed you and we did the numbers. Is the one I closed on yesterday.
Oh, so you're talking about the one you already found. You closed on it. Okay, got it. You bought it. Understand. I
Yeah,
thought you meant you
yeah,
signed
I
up
bought it.
another deal. It's the same deal. Okay, good. Congratulations.
No, no, I'm not getting myself into another trouble. It was tough.
Yeah, yeah. I was hoping you weren't trying to do three because I was like, that's a lot. I mean, it's a little.
No. Mm-mm.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Now you have something sitting and waiting for yours. How's the one you're doing going?
They are painting it now. I'm actually going to see how far they have gone. They are painting it, the interior now. We finished exterior painting, and then we started interior painting this week.
Okay. And how are you doing as far as the contractor funnel? Have you been able to use that? Have you seen like the new training on it and everything and how it's working?
Yeah. I've been able to use that. The person working on it now, I got it from the funnel, and it's been good.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you follow it, I promise you it's good. Darshan, who's in the higher level group, he actually did something that no one else has done because everyone's usually saying my prices are too low. He actually put all the prices on the funnel lower than what I told him, and it was surprising.
Mhm.
He said a bunch of people said okay to it. He's like, not everyone.
Wow.
He was like, it was kind of cool because I got a couple things done cheaper. So it was actually gave me some room for some of the stuff I couldn't get done cheaper. So it was a pretty smart idea to like cut costs on some things he could, and then he was able to pay a couple hundred more on other things. Plumber and HVAC. So something to consider. If you want to pay somebody $2K, put out an ad for 1,600.
Yeah.
It makes it easier. You can negotiate the $2K. People still call no matter what. Believe me, I've never seen it. I've never done it as a practice, but I mean, it would probably be interesting to see at what point they stop calling. Like I want a whole house painted, and you buy the material. I'll give you $800, and they'd be like they're losing money and doing it for free. I bet they still pretty probably call
Yeah.
them. I've never tested it. I don't have the heart to test it that low, but it was interesting to see that he said that he had about 3 or 4 items already that he's gotten done considerably cheaper than what I told him. So that was good. Awesome. Well, keep on it. If there's anything you need, let me know. If you're running into anything you feel like you're overpaying for or not moving fast enough, because the funnel should help you have some abundance. Have people that are going to get in there quick and do it for the right price. Okay. All
Are
right.
you able to see the color of the house? Are you seeing behind me?
Yeah. Is that what you painted it, or?
Yes.
I love it. I mean, I think it's a beautiful color.
It's a blue and white. You know I love colors. I just had to put the color that I wanted. I was like,
Well, that's a good color. That's a solid color. I like that. It looks like time. It looks like really nice, right? Like I like that color.
it look
Yeah. It's not too blue or anything. Yeah, it looks good. That's a
it
good
looks
solid
so
color.
beautiful. Neighbors are stopping by and asking us and yeah, I love it.
Me too. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good job. I'd love to get it from
Thank
you too, because I mean we're looking for a new blue color. We're getting ready to paint one of ours blue to try and see how it works. Yeah, it looks nice. Good job.
Thank you.
We have Steve on. He had a question, so we're going to jump into his glory. If you have any other questions, feel free to jump in. Steve has a question about his contractor funnel. He's getting ready to. He has a ad that he wants to review. So a big part of the funnel is like really nailing every little aspect of it. I know it's like when the training we're like, okay, just do X, Y, Z, but know that like in life we always have to take things and go really detailed in, and we have to test it, and we have to try to get everything right that we can. Then we test and improve, test and improve. So like my higher level students, me and them will sometimes spend weeks working on one ad, and not just before we put it out, but putting it out, tweaking it, putting it out, tweaking it, how we talk to the people, all that stuff is not something you learn overnight. But the faster we get doing it, the more experience we get, and the faster we can hone into a result that you want to get, which is being able to get someone to come out, do the work for your price, do it fast and efficient with a smile. right? That's our standard. That's our expectations. I get that every single day when I'm using the funnel. I'm not saying some of the people in the funnel don't act crazy, but I weed through them. If they act crazy, I set the deal up properly. I weed through them and I go right back to the drawing board, because often, like when we did a funnel for Nikki in the higher level group recently, which you might have seen on the training, we had like 90 people who responded to paint a house for $2,000. So yeah, when the first person came there and said, "Yeah, I can't do it for 2,000. That's too cheap. I won't make any money," she was like, "Okay, no problem." She called the next person, and that person came in and actually painted the house and did a great job, but didn't do it, like he did it with rolling versus spraying, so it cost him too much time. He didn't really make any money. But so then she just go back to the funnel. I was like, go back to the funnel for the outside, and because she had 90 people, so at any point we had like a bench of people waiting that we could go through. And the way this works is, if you're going to make it as simple as possible, so you want to set yourself up for success and make sure that you get the right people through, to the best of your ability. But we don't know everything. We don't, because see, the last piece of really qualifying someone is always going to be actually seeing them in action, right? We got to do as much as we can, that do a lot of the heavy lifting through our qualifying and filtering, and then we got to see them in action, and we might find out they're complete fraud and that they don't do anything they say. That's when it comes down to setting the deal up properly and not paying them. Because see, frauds often won't go for not being paid up front. People who are criminals, as soon as they're like, "I need to be paid up front," know that you're likely dealing with a criminal, because people that do really good work don't care if they get paid up front, because they have a high level of confidence they will be paid. Now, people who have a lot of issues with doing good work, they tend to be like, "Oh, I need to be paid up front because the last 3 times I didn't get paid up front, I didn't get paid at all because my work sucked," right? That's where they're coming from. So know that when they're like real animate about being paid up front, the reason behind that is likely the fact that, they just probably often have not gotten paid because of the quality of work they're doing. So with that being said, that's something to learn. So let's see if we can share my screen. And I'm paying attention. Sorry, guys. I'm just watching Glory's walkthrough here. I'm like looking at the ceiling, the doors. I don't know why I'm 11 years into this. I'm still interested in that stuff. Kind of a nerd about it. All right, let's see. Steve, I know you sent me the stuff. So I'll look for yours, and it should be right here. So contractor form, this is a link below. This is, I guess, so that's your form. So your form is going to be standard. You'll use that. You don't really need to do anything with that. But this is going to be hiring flat roof. Okay, so it says, "Mike, I created a contractor form based on the video. Link below." Let's just look at it and see, because the form should be pretty standard. Name, question, what is your field of work, framing, flat roofer. The person you're trying to do is get framing. So obviously that's good. How many people do you have? Are you currently working on any projects? Okay, yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. I mean, we just want to know the answers to that roughly. And I don't know if, like, what is your field of work? I mean, I guess you could be like framing, flat roofer. I mean, the flat roofer doesn't need to be in there, but because we're not really hiring a flat roofer, but maybe we are. I don't know. We're not really. So we do need a roofer, but not for this funnel. So this one, you could probably put as, what is your field of work? And if you're going to put that in, you totally could change this for every single one, but I would probably try to find something a little more vague. But it's up to you. I'm only using this when they fill these out. I'm just using it as a hoop for them to jump through to see if they're willing to actually follow my instructions. So remember, and then once they follow my instructions, that's told me one thing, like, "Oh, okay, they actually read this ad and followed the instructions. Awesome." That tells me a lot about them, that they were able to do that, because I'm going to need them to follow the instructions many other times in our relationship. The second thing it allows me to do is be able to quickly look at the way they've answered and see, did they actually answer this in detail, or did they just put their phone number in, their name, and leave everything else blank? That shows a general laziness, right? That they didn't actually fill this thing out. So I'm going to give less preference to someone who hasn't filled it out. The main thing I actually focus on is, have you previously worked with investors? If so, please explain, right? Are you currently doing any projects? How many people do you have? Right? Those things I care about. I also am always looking at the name, right? Because in general, like if it's I have better experience with Spanish people. So if it's a Spanish name, I get more excited. That's racial profiling, but I would recommend you racially profile. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, if it was people that were midgets from Narnia, I would be like, cool. That's like, let's look for someone that sounds like Oopa Loopa. I'd be like, that's super sweet. That's who always does the best work. Maybe it's because they're low to the ground. I don't know. Who knows? I don't really care. I just care what's working. That's all that really matters for me, because I don't really care. I'm pretty universal. I'll hire anyone that can do the work and is not going to be a jerk about it. because that's all I'm just trying to get a result, and that's all I care about. So I am looking to see, and I know I wouldn't probably recommend you do that until you get a little more experience, but if I'm looking for a field that tends to be like a lot of Spanish people are really good at it, then I would definitely give a little more preference. Because see, we got to find some way of giving preference, because if we get like 50, 60 people to respond to this, we can't call in, all 50, 60 people back. We have to choose the best couple, the few that we think are going to be the best. And we have to do that based on their response. I mean, right off the bat, them filling this out gets them even looked at. If they don't fill this out and they try to email me directly, which you're going to see a lot of, I don't work with them, just so you know. I'm basically, this is the first step. If they fail the first test, until they fill out the application, we don't really talk. And there's probably some okay people in there that just didn't get this, but I am looking to see if they have the ability to comprehend what I asked them to do. So I would say that by them filling this application out, I've weeded down to someone who actually read what I said, cared, and followed an instruction. And I want people like that working for me. I don't want people, when I tell them to do one thing, they do something else. I tell them to do one thing and they're like, no, I thought you said this. I'm so confused. I don't know where I'm at. There's a lot of people out there like that. We want to get away from that. So this looks solid. I don't think there's anything, I would do different with this. Let's go back and see if we can take a quick look at it.
Hey, Mike.
Done the ad or not. Hey, yeah, Steve, you any questions about
it?
it?
Yeah, so I put roofer just because I thought we were doing it kind of at the same time, just because the roof does have holes in it. So I thought we were just kind of, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would. So when you're doing the ad, though, I would do it for one thing only, because I found the more specific you are with the ad, the better you are, and also this will help you get really honed in on, like, right now your world is one thing, getting your framing done, right? Because it's, in my opinion, probably the biggest thing you'll do in the house. So if you can tackle that, me and you can, like, we'll meet up and high five each other. Me, you, and Cinema, we're really double high fives, right? Because it's huge.
Okay.
Like, that's like, I call it getting your roof and getting this all framed out. It's going to get you back to ground zero, because you've got a wreck. And anytime you have a house that's a wreck, getting it to ground zero is like the big first milestone. I mean, ground zero for me is under roof, no water coming in, all the joists are fixed, the place is framed, and it just starts to look like a house that makes sense. You're not worried about falling through the floor or something jumping out of the wall on you. It feels safer. It starts to be more, you can imagine it very easily, like, oh, I see what it's going to be now. So getting it to that point for you is going to be big. So I would only focus on that, because you'll have better result if you only focus on the big thing you want to accomplish. Now, yes, you do need a flat roofer, and we did run a funnel, and I can, I probably have some flat roofers that I can give you from that funnel if you want, to save you some money, because we did have about 50 people who responded to that, because in our higher level group, we ran for a flat roofer and we ran for a painter. So I can share that with anyone in the group if you guys want. We got a lot of people that responded, and seemed like there should be some opportunity in there to pick someone up, save you from spending $10.
Was that for Nancy, Mike, for the flat roofer?
Was that for Nancy? Yes, it was for Nancy.
Yeah, I actually tried to reach out to her to, like, friend request on Facebook just to see if she had any luck, but I haven't heard back. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, she did have luck. Yeah, I'm working with her. So yeah, she had luck. She found someone to do it for the price they wanted to do it for. I think she found someone to do it for like $8K, and she had $10K in the budget. Her roof is like a huge roof on like a 2,500 square foot house, and it was rough. It was like commercial flat roof. It was kind of crazy. So I don't know why somebody did this on a normal house, but it was huge. So there was a lot to hers. Yours is more simple. Obviously, you got a small roof. It's not that big a deal. So yeah, she did it, but now she's wholesaling the deal. So she didn't get to hire the person yet, because there was like a little bit of a title problem she's dealing with, and she's seeing if she can get someone to pay her like the same money she would make if she rehabbed it. So that way she can just get the cash now without doing all the work, which is always a smart move. So she's doing that now while she's dealing with like a probate issue she has to deal with, and just seeing what's possible. But she did get two roofers. Jim felt good with two of them. He said both would work, but he was still kind of negotiating. I think he put the negotiations on hold a little bit, but they were already both where he needed them to be, under what his budget was, like 2,000 under. And he was just seeing if he could do even better, because he had time to do so, but he figured he didn't want to keep negotiating and then be like, yeah, I'll talk to you in a month when this is all fixed. That thing popped up on him at the last minute that the lady hadn't finished a probate thing. So now it's kind of sitting a little bit, but it did work for sure. And they didn't even go through the whole funnel. They went through a decent portion of it, but they had multiple options. Yeah, they had multiple people, so very quickly. So yeah, I can give you those same names, and if I can hook you up with Nancy, no problem. You can just talk to them if you want them. She's super nice. She'll just be like, oh yeah, here's these people were great, and she'll give you the names for that. Save you some time. I mean, you have other stuff to work on, so no reason to reinvent the wheel if we have it. I'm going to be doing this for all stuff so that hopefully by the end of the one I'm doing on Brook that I'm going to be sharing with the group, and you guys are going to watch me from scratch hire everyone. I should be able to give you my work from it, and I'll share it with the group. And so it'll be a nice little benefit for everyone. But, you know, really the key here is not me sharing it with you. It's the key is you learning to do it yourself. And it takes time to learn to do this yourself, because putting the ad out is one little piece, but now you feel the stuff that comes from the ad is the part that takes practice and tweaking over time, and how you talk to people, how you speak with them, how you motivate them to work for the prices we want to work, how you make quick decisions on your feet of like, you know, that's going to work, that's not going to work. You know, we got to be able to make some we have to have some critical thinking. We have to hone that part of our brain through experience and you know, and really paying attention to the details. You know, that takes most people a couple months is what it takes usually. But if on your flip, you got $100,000 flip, maybe a little bit more. If throughout your flip, you could figure this out, well, guess what? You figured out something that 99% of flippers do not know. That becomes a competitive advantage. Your ability to be able to get labor in is the number one reason most people stop flipping. They don't have a clear ability to get good, cheap labor in that's willing to work for you. You've never heard me not have that problem, but the main reason for that is this funnel and my ability to use this funnel as a tool to create things like to create labor and work that like none of my competitors can easily do. And it's taken me years of learning this, obviously, but, you know, obviously I can teach you guys stuff a lot faster than it took me to learn it, because I had to learn it from scratch. I didn't have a mentor showing me the ropes and really showing me this stuff, because, you know, all the people I paid $30K to work with, well, they didn't know this stuff. They were just giving me some bullshit to use that didn't work, that I honestly just ran me into a hole. This is super high level stuff that, you know, most people don't share, but, you know, obviously I keep the doors open on everything for you guys. So what you've got right here is it says, I have created a Craigslist ad, but I was thinking to use the post now to look for framers and flat roofers. Okay, got it. Here's the draft I was thinking. Title, hiring local subcontractors for framing and flat roofing. Do you have framing and flat roofing skills? You're looking to make some money. My name is Steve. I'm a local investor. I have looking for subcontractors who are able to do the following: 1,100 square foot row home, Baltimore City, framing, including subfloor and joist, flat roofing, insulation, rubber tar, willing to buy materials. You just have to show up, ready to work. We are experienced investors. We have multiple renovations in progress and provide steady work and quick pay. And you can if you can work with subcontractor pricing, must have own transportation tools. We make it easy. We're family oriented. Says here, fill out an application. So I like it. I mean, if you want to try it as flat roofer, totally fine. But I probably would just go ahead and take the flat roofer out for our exercise, because I feel like when you introduce something new, it could tweak the results and make them not as good. Now, if we're just like, I'm looking for like a subcontractor framer, like, dude, is this you? We want this to talk like directly to the person we want. Someone who can do framing fast and is a really good framer, like knows his stuff. So I'd probably take the flat roof out, and you can just use our work on the other flat roof. That would be the only one. And I think this is good to go, man. And I think I see that you took and translated it into Spanish, which is always good. So you guys can see what he did here. He just took and did a translation. You can do Google Translate for that. I have no clue if it actually reads correctly, but it does seem to get Spanish people replying, and they do tend to reply in English, thank God, because I would have no clue what they're saying. So they, because I speak like 2 words of Spanish. It's funny. I'm just not good at it. I can barely speak English. I figure I'm not going to try to tackle Spanish. English is I'm already struggling with the first one. So anyhow, look, it looks good, man. My recommendation would be to take and go ahead and put this out, because I think people will be looking today and tomorrow, and run it for like 2 to 3 days max, because you're going to see a couple little details. Obviously, you're going to put an email to your account and stuff, and that email is going to show to them. So just use an email that's specifically for this. Go Gmail, whatever, like fixing houses or something. It would make them feel like they're working with a contractor or something, like something, just so you're not going to your email, because I still got people calling me from the funnel I ran for Nikki and for the higher level group. Man, there's people still texting me. Like this lazy Cassandra, dude, I needed like a restraining order on her. She just calls me and texts me. She's like pumped to do some painting. Like, she's really annoying.
Hey, Mike, so is the email address associated with wherever you create the form from? So, like, for example, it's a Gmail account that I logged into Google Drive, created the form. Is that email address attached to the form? Is that where it's going to send it? I'm
Maybe.
assuming?
So yeah, you might be able to change that or you might not, but as long as it's not giving yours, I mean, just don't put yours in the ad. If they have where they can hit the form, you're going to have all their information. If they try to email you, there is a way they can email you, but it'll email you through Craigslist and they won't have your direct email. So if you cut that off, they won't be able to keep emailing you because they'll have to do it through the ad. So once you cut the ad off, no one can email you anymore if it's going through the ad. But what I used to do is put my phone number and email on the ad. That was a mistake. Unless you're doing like a email and phone number you specifically created for this. But it's kind of a mistake anyhow, because you need to insulate yourself from people being able to easily like basically distract you, because the crazy crackheads are going to just jump on the phone and be like, Steve, I got your back, man. Let's meet right now. Yeah, can I get like $20 to get started? I'm ready. And you're going to be like, well, shit, this guy sounds like he's ready to go. You're going to be like, and then you won't be on and doing, you'll be breaking your process because some crazy crackhead just like basically distracted the crap out of you, like shiny ball syndrome. I've had this happen. I'm basically telling you from experience, and I've seen it happen to other people too. And so we kind of need those crazy people not to have a direct route to us. You know, we want them to be like, okay, everyone goes through the process. When they don't get talked to. And that's how we weed people, right? That's how we do it. We do this through a lot of our systems, and, you know, in flipping, we're not just doing it in this one system. We do it when we're selling houses, when we're buying things. We make everyone go through hoops so that we can start qualifying out the people who aren't serious. And because there's some people in here that'll hear all this and they'll be like, dude, that sounds great. That's exactly what I do. And there's some people like, well, Steve, let's meet at the house and I'll give you a price. Okay, that's not our system. We don't meet at the house to get a price. Now, you might need to on this framing because it ain't clear, right? So one thing that I would add in the future, once you get clear, so I do want to tell everyone that's listening, like me and Steve actually made this plan to be more vague on this one, because Steve, you guys, if you've seen his house, if you were at the training, his house is a wreck. It's like the whole back of the house is missing. It got like burnt up, and it's got some work, right? He knew that when he bought it. He got a really good deal on it to kind of make up for it. But the reality is it's so bad that we don't really know what to do. So what me and Steve discussed was we're going to need to take and get some people out there and do what we call research. So he's going to have to meet like 3 to 5 people. He's going to have to take notes. He's going to have to get on YouTube, talk to me, and we're just going to have to strategize around getting clear on what the next step is, because we don't really have the answer. This happens quite often, like when you have foundation problems you need to fix, all those things. You got to get real strategic and invest in learning that one thing. Now, Steve's payoff for that's going to be, number one, he's going to get the work done a lot cheaper. He's going to be able to control the work because he understands it. His next payoff is that when he runs into any house in the future that needs some framing, it's going to be a cinch, right? He's going to be like, no problem, because I doubt anything he buys in the future will be worse than what he has now. So everything will seem easier, right? In perspective, it'll be like, oh, no problem. I got to move a wall, do that. He won't be overwhelmed by that. He'll feel like he understands framing. You'll see, by taking like a week of his time and really learning framing, understanding what's being done, paying attention to it when it's being done, he's not just getting it cheaper. Cheaper is the instant, is the, you know, what I would say the instant benefit. The long-term benefit is that he's getting knowledge that's going to just bring him tons of value over the years. Because see, we get great deals. Most of the great deals we're going to get are ones that other investors don't understand. So we make a lot of money when we're able to look at something and solve it. You know, if most people can't solve it and we look at it and we can, that's how we make money. Like I walked in there and I was like, Steve, this is a mess, but it's doable. I can guarantee you put 100 investors in there and like 95 plus of those investors walk in there and be like, nope, I don't know what to do here. I'm out. So they're not being resourceful. And that's what we do differently. We got to be resourceful and we have to know. And Steve definitely got this cheap enough to be, you know, to make this all work. He's got enough spread in there to definitely make some good money when this is all said and done. So, you know, he didn't pay too much by any means. He definitely got a good number on it to help him out with the fact that he's going to have to do some of this stuff from scratch. He's not going to be able to use the standardized pricing for the framing. So what he's going to do is he's going to get in there and do a lot of research. When I did my first foundation, I met 5 or 6 people and I got them to tell me everything about foundations. I asked them questions. I went and read books online. I just did research. And, you know, a week or 2 later, I knew enough that I felt like I could do it myself. And that's where we need to get you to, Steve, right? We got to get where it's so clear to you that you're like, I could do this myself. If me and Sam wanted to quit our jobs, we could just come in here and frame this ourselves. That would not be true, by the way, but I need you to feel that way, because you won't start feeling that way until you have a good understanding of how it's going to be done. And once you have that really good understanding of how it's going to be done and you feel like you could do it, then you're going to be able to manage people and say, instead of them coming in and telling you what needs to be done, you're going to go to where you tell them what needs to be done. See, this is the shift that takes you from like good rehabber from like normal rehabber, right? And 99% of people are normal rehabbers, decent at it. They're making money. They're flipping houses. But then there's like a 1% club that like crushes rehabbing. You go to that by going from asking what things are going to be cost and what should be done to telling people. That requires you getting smart about it. And we can do that really quickly with the system I'm teaching you. So as you get the people through, what Steve's going to do is he's going to get smart about what's going on here. He's going to have an understanding of what a joist is, what size it should be, when to know if it needs to be replaced, structural load. I mean, he's going to start having a crash course and all this stuff. It seems very overwhelming and a lot, but if he just takes little chunks at a time, like eating an elephant, he just, keeps every little chunks talking with a contractor, talking with me, bringing questions to the group, it's going to get really clear. So if it takes him a couple weeks to get this framing done and get it done right and have it all done for the price we put on the on his budget, that would be a good use of his time, because it's going to go from every house. He's going to be able to use that. Framing will never be an issue again, and he will be smarter than most people at framing, and that's when he creates a competitive edge. Jim and Nancy had to do that with their flat roof because it was like no other flat roof I had ever seen before. They put a commercial roof on a residential house, and the freaking thing was done with all kind of weird stuff. And so he got a bunch of people out. He talked to them. He problem solved with them. He had strategy sessions with them. Eventually, he got clear. Now, once he got clear, he was able to get some of the people that came out originally to do it for under the price he expected. So he didn't need to do that. What I told Steve was, if those people come out and they're willing to like meet his budget or less, then he's good to go. But however, if they come out and they're all giving him bad news and they're telling him, I'll give you a great example of Michael Chow, one of my students. I told him it's like 10K to fix a foundation. He had 3 people come out and they told him 40 to 50K. So obviously what I told Mike is he had a similar situation where he had to get clear. It was a really awkward foundation issue. So he's like, I'm like, just keep getting people out until you get clear, and then start getting people out and telling them what you want done. So just, then put an ad out that says, here's what I'm doing. Can you do this work? If you can, here's what I'm paying. Call me if that makes sense. Because see, now we're going to take this whole world of contractors that are out there on Craigslist, and we're going to narrow it down to the people willing to work within our structure. That's what we want. We don't want people that are high level strategists. We want people who know how to do, right? Because see, it's a lot cheaper to get people to do than it is to get people to think, right? Thinkers get paid big bucks. Someone who can come in there and think at a high level, that guy's going to make a lot more, because see, he's going to be able to solve problems for people, and he's going to make more for that. Now, someone who's like, I'm a subcontractor. Why do you think subcontractors make less? Zero thinking as a subcontractor. As a subcontractor, you're told what to do, you're told what you're paid, you're told how long it should take, and you just go do it and make it work. And you make a lot of money doing it. But you have a GC who works, who's being the thinker, who's strategizing, telling you what to do. That's why subs make less money, and it's pretty freaking awesome. So Steve, that's going to be his mission. If he doesn't get the prices at work, then he'll put a second ad out, and that next ad will be really specific, because now he'll be skilled and he'll know what's going on. Me and him will put a clear plan together, and now this will look similar to this with a little more clarity of like, we're going to replace 7 joists and frame out, 1 back addition off the house. Here's a link to the plans, things like that. What I would also add, Steve, I'm glad I just thought of this, but I would add a quick little video link to YouTube for the house, so they can see what they're doing. And, just say, hey, if you want to see the house, so you don't have to come out, you want to see the house, here's a link to the video. That's really helpful to do, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, I created a contractor form. Oh yeah. So do you have a video link? Oh no, you said based on it. You don't have a video link. I seen video on top of your thing, and I thought it said you had a link.
Yeah, I don't, not yet. Now, Mike, we're just going to do the top or the entire house, the video.
I'll just do a quick, video should be a couple minutes because everybody has ADD. Just like, hey, dude, right. I just want to show you a quick video. Here's what we're doing. We're just going to reframe the back of this house and make sure all these joists are good, and then fix some subfloor. And, that's basically what we're looking to do. If you think that's a good fit for you, please respond to the ad, and, we'll talk and try to get you in, man. Look forward to working with you. It might be that quick. Just something they can see it real quick, maybe a minute or two, a couple minutes. If you got to go a little more detailed, don't do a 30-minute video, please, because obviously they'll never see anything. So I like to keep the videos somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes max. And we do one of those for every single house. This seems like a lot, but know that if you take and you're this diligent, right, you go this deep into doing this work, you're going to get a result that no one else gets. This is the reason other people don't get this result. No one else is doing this. I mean, I've traveled the country talking to people, and I did not learn this from anyone. I wish I could be like, yeah, man, I spent 30,000 and someone gave me this. No, I actually had to sit with my E-Myth coach that I paid 36K a year. I'm still paying. Me and him worked on this for 2 years to get this right. We literally were just making changes just recently. Like, this thing took me forever to figure out because he asked me the question multiple years ago of like, what would it be like to have an unlimited source of contractors? And we need to solve that problem because that's the bane of your existence. It's the core to your business being profitable. And I don't think you have a great solution for it. You can get people, but then they're out, they're in, some are, they're headaches. And he's like, what would it be like for you to like, create an environment? So he talked about creating an app. We talked about doing different stuff. Eventually we came to this because this was the simplest thing to do. It seems like a lot of work, but in comparison to never solving the problem, what's even more work than doing this is the headaches you'll deal with if you don't do this. So, like you might spend 15 hours dealing with a crazy contractor where this might take 5 hours to do. And you don't have to spend the 15 hours. And once you've done this and you find a really good person, like your life gets increasingly better every single day you work with that person. And guess what? That person always has friends, always knows people. That person will refer great people to you. So quickly what happens when you follow this process is your business gets better. That's why I tell you, I wish I could do this. I mean, the fastest I've ever seen anybody implement this is like 3 to 4 months. So you just got to keep working on it, keep practicing. And when you have a full rehab, like everyone who's doing a full rehab that's on the call right now, you have an opportunity to do this across every time. You should just be doing this every single week, once or twice a week. And it's work, but it's great work that's going to be really valuable. Work on your business, work, not work in your business. Like you going in there and doing demo is working in your business. You spending 5 hours doing this and getting like an awesome person that's going to change your business is working on your business. This is going to give you a long-term effect. I've found people from this process that I've been working with for years at this point, and I've not had to replace them. So how awesome is that to have someone who could reliably come in and understand my unit price and do the work fast, be awesome if something's wrong, not give me a lot of crap. Like it really definitely changed my life as a flipper when I started doing this. So no, I'm being very detailed and I'm giving you a lot of like expectations of what I want you to do in order to get this right. But there couldn't be a more valuable thing I could teach you. But unfortunately, I'm going to teach it to you, but you got to go out and practice it and then ask for my help in these calls like Steve's doing right now. So that's kind of a big thing. So yeah, add in there a video.
Mike, I have a question.
My only improvement would be add a video.
Hey, Mike, we got a question.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Yeah.
Come here.
I didn't cut you off.
Sorry, no. She was just asking, like, did I want lunch? I'm like, no, I can't eat lunch.
Okay. So I had a running problem with Craigslist. I tried to get plumber, HVAC guy, and I put Craigslist. So I don't know, it's different with your area or just New Jersey. So they only have like a package, like a 35 per month, I think. So I paid that and list. I want a plumber. I'll pay 5,000. How much the job it is? I just tell them, and I got several reply, but they don't have couple of people, but they don't have license. So I don't know where can I get a license.
So you are posting it in the section that Delante told you to post it in and everything?
Which section? This job section, right?
Yeah, I think it's job section. I haven't done it in a while because he usually does it for whatever's on the training. So
yeah, you might post there.
And you don't post it per day where you are. You got to pay for a month for $35 is what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
That's cheaper. Kind of package.
That's cheaper than what we're paying, but it's more than you want to spend. But okay, so you put it out. You said you just did it for plumber only, right?
Yeah, and also I said we are looking for other job like a carpenter or whatever. So there are lots of carpenter contact me, but only
less plumbers.
Yeah, only few plumbers. And
how many plumbers did you get? How many do you feel like you got, like roughly?
I like 1 or 2. One said he has 10 years, but he doesn't have license. And
does he have the ability to pull permits?
No, he can't because he doesn't have license. And he doesn't.
But he doesn't know anyone that could pull the permits?
Yeah, that's what I say. He said he knows one. Then he gave me his name. I called him. He also called the guy. The guy didn't come to say the job. So it's it seems right now nobody's answer the call or something. Maybe it's a holiday or something. It's very hard to get people to come over. And
well, you've only tried it once, so You can't make that assumption yet. You just basically have to look at it like, we tried it, it didn't work. Let's figure out why. Because you know, and you also mixed it. So I would actually make it more specific. It does make it more complicated when it's $35 because you don't want to keep like wasting $35. But we're talking about saving thousands of dollars on one line item. So it's
Right.
sometimes worth investing that. What I would recommend is, can I see your ad? Is there any way you can share your ad with me and just let me see what you put in? Similar to this, obviously. I just want to see how specific or not specific you are. And running it just for plumbing could be helpful because like when we run an ad for like plumbing and electric, we get the least amount of response, but it's still enough, right? We
Okay.
got 100 people for painting. We probably usually get 20 people for plumbing, like 15 to 20. It's not as much as painting, but it's enough.
Sure.
And so we
And
might have to run it. And if you're running it for a full month, I would assume there must be some value to that. They must keep you up top. I don't know. I mean, you might get responses for a whole month from it. So it might be one of those things you can let run for a while and you
okay.
should keep getting, I don't know. I've never done the $35. I know Michael Chow in Canada they have Kijiji, which is Craigslist. It's wannabe Craigslist. And that's the same thing. He has to pay for like $30 for like a month, but he tells me that the whole month it actually is getting a result.
Yeah, but the problem is I really need one to hand in my permit application because that permit is going to take 1.5 months to get it. So I'm really in a hurry. And also
Well,
try,
that's the issue though. So you have to consider are you in a hurry to the point where you're going to way overpay? Because if you are, then that's going to be a problem. So you could always revise the ad. I don't know if you're putting it out for a month, they might give you the ability to like make an edit to the ad. I'm not sure. If you could, then you could just up the price to like 6K. Right? Hey, I'm paying 6. Usually people don't even care about the pricing. If they want work and they need work, they'll just respond to you. So you just have to like weigh out like, okay, am I desperate enough to overpay for this? If you are, then like strategically, will this deal still work? Because see, this is the math. This is basically how I make decisions. Because sitting for a month or sitting even for 2 months, but I'm figuring out something I can use for life, that's worth it. But it's not like what I see people do too
right.
often is
Yeah.
because of impatience, go ahead and pay someone 5K more than they should. And then they're like, yeah, but I would have lost like 1,800 a month by it sitting. And I'm like, okay, but you lost 5K. But more importantly, you gave in to impatience, which I have to work on. I'm impatient. I have a very big sense of like impatience I have to always work on because I'm definitely someone who would pay more to get it done quickly. But long term, I couldn't sustain that and be competitive. So I've had to fix it. So, you know, basically this is something you just want to think through. Like, do I want to pay too much or do I want to kind of just dig in and put more energy into this plumber thing that I need to deal with? Right. Because right now you put plumber, you said, and you put who else was a plumber and was it electrician or was it?
Yeah, I have an electrician already. I got that done. So right now I just need
And the electrician was willing to meet the price and then get the permits for you and everything.
I think he's pretty fair compared with other. Um, I don't know how much is charged the electrician the price. So
How much is the price?
he gave me 8,000 something.
So 8,000 seems outrageous, but I mean, because you're
8,000
you're
more
not
than
rewiring the whole house. You're just basically moving a couple wires and stuff for like some of the rooms. The house itself looked like it was in very good electrical and plumbing condition.
oh, I
But
need to replace the panel to 200 and also
what is it currently?
yeah.
What is it currently?
It's like 50, I think. It's
50,
very
it's
old.
probably 50 or 100 probably. Okay, yeah, so it's maybe a little bit of upgrade. So you're changing the panel. You might
And
need to change the wire. That's like 1,500 usually.
also the recessed lights, add a lot of recessed lights.
Okay, how many recessed lights are you adding?
Oh,
Roughly? Doesn't have to be exact, but I mean, ballpark.
30, all kinds of like new lights, probably around
Maybe that's something we could trim back and that might help your pricing. But often I usually only do recessed lights maybe in the great room, maybe some recessed lights in like the living room, dining room, kitchen area. And then, you know, rest of the house is totally acceptable. Recessed lights in bedrooms is a waste of money because no one really needs that kind of lighting in their bedroom. You know, it's too bright. I mean, recessed lights to like accent like a, Like, so basically what I'm doing is like dining room and kitchen generally get recessed lights, but people don't need recessed lights in their living room. I've had them many times in my houses and I never turned them on because they were too bright for a living room. I don't need my living room to be that crazy bright.
Right.
So when they start putting recessed lights in living rooms, it's not really that usable, but where it is really usable would be like dining room and kitchen, especially kitchen. If I'm doing it perfectly, I'm only putting recessed lights in the kitchen because that's where they matter, because they really, you want the kitchen to be bright so you don't end up cutting your finger off. You know, you can see when you're cooking, it's very useful. And so in most houses, I'm doing 8 to 10 lights max, and that covers living room. That's usually like kitchen and dining room. And I'm able to save a lot of money because like every can light costs you about 100 to 150 bucks because it's pretty, you know, it's material, labor, time to do it. What you can do instead, a room that takes 6 can lights can be 1 round light instead, and that round light will cost you 100 bucks versus 600 bucks. So you're talking about like really like cutting down your cost overall by doing that. So that, and I don't think that makes your house any less desirable because you're putting them where they matter. You're not cheaping out. You're just, you know, you're just not putting them in areas that don't necessarily matter, if that makes sense. Now, sometimes in the basement, if your ceilings are lower, they matter there. But if your ceilings are high, then they don't matter as much. You know, it depends if you got 8-foot ceilings or like 7-foot ceilings. You got, you know,
I have a 9 in living room.
okay.
I have 1 in the entrance.
Okay.
And I have 4 in the dining room and also 1 like a pendant light.
Uh-huh.
And
3 in the kitchen.
3 in the kitchen cabinet and 2 above island.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what I would suggest is maybe an alternative, just to maybe cut some of your costs down. I usually do 3 to 4 in the kitchen. I usually try to put like 3 to 6 in the kitchen just to highlight all my cabinets. But if you have that one row, like 3 would be perfect. And then what you would do to highlight your island would be like usually 2 pendant lights because you got a pretty big island, and you usually do 2 pendant lights to highlight that. In the center of the kitchen, you can do a round light, right? So you're basically just doing a row to kind of spotlight the cabinets, and then you'll put a center light in that's a round light in the center of the kitchen to highlight the kitchen in the island. It just overall light for you. So that's the most strategic lighting plan for your kitchen. So you're talking like 2 pendant lights, 3 recessed, and one round light. Okay, that's kitchen. Dining room, which usually pretty awesome, would be to do 1 round light in a dining room with like say 4 around it. Again, gives you the choice of using both.
Right.
Living room, because you have all this lighting in your living room, and these are all kind of a great room. Just 1 round light in the living room is enough. And maybe if you want to put 1 by the front door or something, that makes some sense. It's fine. But
Right.
generally, you'll get the lighting you need now, because think of it, in this one space that's about 30 foot long, you've got 3 round lights. You've got like, roughly 4, 8 other lights. You're going to have all the lighting you need. It's going to be well lit, and it's going to be very well done. And then you don't really need can lights anywhere else. So we're talking like 10 can lights in the plan we just talked about, 2 pendants. That's going to cut your cost down greatly. I mean, we're talking about maybe, just making an adjustment of, $1,000 or so, just for making maybe $1,500 even. And to me, I don't think your house will sell one penny less in my experience. I've used this same plan at a house I sold for 1.4 million. And I just, I might have put a couple more recess, but again, like I said, I wouldn't cut out where you need them, but you definitely don't need them in bedrooms or anything. You said you had like 30. Did you have them somewhere else? Because you said if there's
like a new bathroom, a new master suite.
Okay. Yeah, so you definitely don't want to do them in the bathrooms or master suites. So the bathroom's going to be a round light with usually. So here's what the bathroom usually gets. It gets a what is it called? Not a pendant light. A vanity light. It gets a vanity light, like a 2 or 3 vanity light, and then it gets a fan that has a light in it. So the fan will also have a combo light in it, so that way you're getting lighting from 2 sources.
You have a light above the bathtub or in the shower?
I don't usually, but you could. I mean, that's 1 light if you want to throw that in there. I don't usually do that. That's you can do if you'd like. I mean,
Yeah, you don't need them. You don't need them.
in the shower, it's a little bit, usually the shower doesn't need to be all lit up. People don't like to be, maybe it's me. I don't like to have a spotlight on me while I'm naked in the shower. That's, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't worked out enough for that yet. I gotta stop eating some cookies and stuff for that to happen. But I think most of all, you have plenty of lighting if you have, if these aren't really large bathrooms, they're just kind of like normal size, which I remember they were. You'll get plenty enough lighting from the fan light, and then like a nice, vanity light, like a Because remember, we're using bulbs that are going to be really white. They're going to be clear. They're going to do a great job of lighting the space up well. And, you know, people will be fine. So I would say that's more than acceptable for that. And you could then take some of that money and maybe buy a little nicer fixtures or, you know, something that might make the house look really nice. And I would not put any in the master suite. What sometimes I do in a master suite from a lighting standpoint is you might put one round light above, or you might do a really beautiful fan with a light. Like I did a fan that was really awesome. It cost like $300, but it was kind of a statement piece. And I didn't do any light on it, but what I did instead is I put two sconces around the bed, like, you know, like next to where the bed was going to go. And that was nice, you know, it didn't cost very much money to do that. And, but again, you know, it looked very custom, you know, people were pretty excited about it. So from a lighting standpoint, you're way better served just doing that. And then you could do under the cabinet lighting for a couple $100 that looks really cool. But it's just a couple, you know, something like that's going to make the house feel special.
Right.
You know, that under the cabinet lighting you can get that like lights under the cabinet. That's, yeah, it's very nice. And that's a couple $100 to do that. It's probably, you know, not very much to install. And it's maybe $100, $150 to buy for the materials. So things like that work really well. Basement, you know, obviously if you have that head space, you're just going to do round lights down there. You won't necessarily need, you know, like a bunch of recessed lights unless it's low. And that's the only time I would do it down there. I mean, I have a guy, electrician, who put recessed lights through one of my flips recently. And I was like, you put recessed lights through my whole flip? And he's like, yeah, I only charge you $6K. He rewired the whole house, put recessed lights through everything on a house that was 1,700, 1,800 square feet. And it was $6K. And that was, he bought all the material for that. And I bought all the fixtures. He bought all the material, like wires and can lights and everything. But I told him, I'm like, hey dude, I even told him, like, and I didn't pay for it. I still paid my same standard $6, but I'm like, dude, I don't want you wasting money, man. I want you to be more profitable. Like, please don't put in 30 lights. And he's like, oh, I was gone on vacation. My guys did it. He's like, I don't normally do that for you. I'm like, okay, cool. I just didn't want you to keep doing it if it was something that, you know, you were accidentally doing. Cause yeah, I want him to make money. So I know that if he puts in 30 lights and I don't really need 30 lights, that was a waste of money for him, you know. But you know, my house didn't sell for a penny more because I had all those lights at some level. It just, you know, it didn't. Not everyone's a fan of recessed lights, and you know, I'm a fan of them in the right place, but not everywhere. Like, it don't make sense to have 6 recessed lights in your master bedroom. Again, it's an area where you want more mood lighting, right? You want things to be a little more in better shape, if that makes sense. So, okay, so I think helping you with the lighting there. So what you want to do, one thing you said that I think will be really helpful for you and everyone else is you said that it's cheap in comparison to what other people were telling me. Well, you know, other people are going to tell you crazy pricing. I don't have a problem with you paying $8K for it. I don't have a problem with you paying $7 or $8K for the plumbing. It's more than you should pay. But what I would have a problem with, obviously, is when they were telling you 16K and 15 and all that. Yeah. So you're obviously getting the pricing down, and we can't always make the total jump. Maybe after you've done a couple flips, we keep driving this down, and now you find an electrician will do it for $6,500 instead of $8,000. You know, you're just cutting costs. But right now, I feel like at $8K, you've definitely cut costs from where you were before, right? That's cheaper than you were paying before.
Yes, before
that's good.
The smaller house, I paid almost more than $10,000.
Perfect. Then. So that's all we want is we want to make a jump from where you were to where you need to be. That's my mission, is to help you do that. I do think you can get it down more, but I think you've gotten it to a fair price now. It's, you know, like I just told you, I rewired a whole house for $6. That is pretty affordable, but I've drove that price down over time. It's not because I do a lot of work. It's because I just have, over time, the more people you meet, the more you'll, like, someone will be like, your plumber will be like, oh, I know an electrician who works cheap too. Right. And next thing you know, you start finding the people who work at these wholesale prices, because once you meet one or two of them, they'll start introducing you to other people who work affordably. So eventually that's what happens over time. So that's good. You got $5K for plumbing, and you're adding just one bathroom, right? The other bathroom staying where it is upstairs, or
yeah, but that's a little position has to be changed.
Oh, and you're adding one in the basement too. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, 5K is normally what I would pay for that. I mean, about 5 to 6K. It really, honestly, should be, just to break it down for you. It's for the material they're buying, you're talking like $1,000 in material for the material they're buying, and you know, at 5K, they're making $4 grand to do this work. The rough that they're doing.
Yeah, I got this guy. He's waiting to do that. He said he just need to find the nicest to seal the permit for him. So. I don't know. Do you have that problem? Usually I call all these contractors and plumbers, HVAC guys, but there are not many people call back. I don't know. Is that because?
Yeah, I just call so many that I don't care about the people that don't call back. That's part of the weeding process. I mean, yeah, I have people that don't call back. I have people who say they'll do it and won't show up. I mean, I have all that. The secret to it is if you're running that ad for a month, you're going to have people continually coming in. So if somebody, it's the process that we have to work through those people.
Okay.
Our job is to find a way to get through all these people we don't want to work with as easy as possible. So if you do it the way most people do it, where they go and meet every single person and then they give them an estimate, then you could talk to 100 people before you get your price, and you could spend 6 months trying to weed through everyone. So it's important that we don't do that. Obviously, that's definitely the old school way I was taught by my old mentor. And get 3 estimates, take the middle one, all that crap. That's like really old school, outdated stuff. So we don't do that for sure. We do a lot of the weeding on the phone. So if they're not calling you back, they're weeded out. So this problem goes away when enough people are responding to your ad. If you're doing it every month, like, yes, it could take a little more time, and plumbers are a little more, it is the holidays. You are doing a specialty trade. So, I would just, if he can get someone to pull the permit, but I would actually keep talking to people and talk to everyone and just see where would they be? Like, if they're like, I can't do it for 5, then just be like, well, where would you be roughly? Where do you think you could do it for roughly based on what I'm doing? Because you're not doing a lot. I mean, you're actually electric stuff. I don't know. Again, I feel like that's less probably than even the plumbing. So, I mean, if someone will do it for 6 or 7, again, it's a lot cheaper than you were paying. It's a lot cheaper than what a few people told you, the ones that were like 15 or 16. They're getting rich at 15 to 16. I'd want to become a plumber if I could get 16K to do a couple days work. Because that's what it is, by the way. Like a 2 to 3 person plumbing crew, and we'll have that all roughed in 2 to 3 days max. So getting 16K and they're spending $1,000 in materials means they're being paid $15,000 for 3 days work.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good, man. I'm in the wrong business for sure. But the thing is that we don't understand, because they are getting paid really well. But in order to get those prices, they probably are spending a lot of money on marketing every month. And their big struggle is getting business. So what we're looking for, someone who understands the model that I can take away my biggest problem, which is finding clients, if I'm able to do the work affordably. Right? If I can do it affordably and work with investors, I never have to market again. I never have to spend $1 on an office. I don't have to have, cool polo shirts and stuff. I don't need any of that. I just show up my tools, do the work, and I get paid a very fair price. That's who we want to work with. Because the people who come out, like Samir got an estimate one time, the guy come out and it was like these white dudes, and they pulled up in like a $70,000 truck. Dude, they were like better dressed than me. I was like, shit, I'm like, I need to step up and go get some clothes. I had to go clothes shopping afterwards. But like the first thing I assumed was like, there's no shot this is going to work out. And they gave her a price that was double what she wanted to pay. And they were like, oh, you can never do it cheaper than that. That's so cheap. And that was their belief. And it was cheap in comparison to their polo shirts and their truck that was $70,000. I mean, yeah, they needed to make a much more money to pay for all that stuff that we don't care about them having a $60,000 truck. I don't care if they show up in their underwear and a t-shirt and do it. As long as, they got some, Richard Simmons shorts on, for all I care. Just as long as they'll do the work, they're friendly about it, and they know what they do, good quality work, and they get done on time. That's who I'm looking for. And that's what subcontractors will work at a very affordable price. So right now it seems like you're probably running into a lot of retail people, but you've already broke past that with, somebody electric that's doing it for more than half the price. So that's good. And you're getting away from retail. So plumbing, same thing. Just keep talking with the plumbers. Maybe if you got 1 or 2 that isn't licensed, go back and talk to everyone who's responded, and then just ask them where would they be. And then try to find someone you feel comfortable with that can pull permits and feels, where would they be that hopefully is not going to be like more than a few $1,000s more than what you should be paying. But, overall, we can still make this thing work. It is an $800,000 house, obviously. So we're not we have room to spend a couple more dollars on some of the important stuff. And then we could try to make it up on some of the things that are a little easier to find, like, the things you'll get more responses on. Like painting and everything else. We don't want to overpay for that stuff. Because see, that stuff you're going to be really abundant on. You're going to have a lot of people calling and willing to do it for the price. Plumbing, electric, and HVAC is the stuff that you got to be a little more patient with. But got the electric pretty good. I would call all the plumbers back and just talk to them and see if any, what price they'd be at. Are they willing to do it? Are they available? Are they used to working with investors? And if they definitely have like, an investor feel, then that's who we want to work with. We don't want to work with people who work with homeowners mostly. Because they're just for them, they could do it for $7K and feel like you underpaid them. And that's not who we want. Someone who feels like they got ripped off or underpaid.
Yeah, there was one guy, he said he's licensed. He said he will not do with that price. So I said, how much
Yeah.
do you want? He said he wants to come to have a look. Then he said he come today and didn't show up. So
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to meet them. So, like, what you can do is give them a lockbox. You can show them a video. Did you put a video in your ad? Because that's what I was telling Steve. Sometimes that helps, and you can always say, "Hey, let me send you a video, and I'll show you what we're doing." Same thing. You walk through the house and say, "Hey, we're doing this. We're gonna go. Here's all the plumbing in the basement. We're gonna add a bath right here, and then we're gonna do that." And you put it on Craigslist, and I mean, you put it on YouTube. I'm sorry, and then you give them the link to that. It's a 3 to 5 minute video. You could send them. They're like, "I want to see it." You can say, "Hey, let me send you a video. You can look at and see if you can work off of that." That way you don't have to worry about meeting them, because what happens when you create an environment that you can easily be disappointed, it wears you down and it makes you make bad choices. So if you're like going to meet one person out there and then you go out there and sit for an hour and they don't show up, that's creating a consequence for you that will likely make you want the problem to go away. And psychologically, you'll start saying, man, this is awful. And it is, by the way. I've been out there and they've not showed up for me. So two things: when I try to meet anyone at the house, I've already pretty much gotten them to agree to the price. If they say, "Oh, I won't do it for that," then and I need to see it, then I'm like, "Well, cool. Here's a video, or you want the lockbox? I'll give it to you." But I don't generally meet them, or I wait until other people meet me there, and then I'll say, "Hey, let me call you back when I'm going to be out there next." And what I would do is have that person come with a bunch of other people. So, because my experience has been, I generally, and this is like proven math, if I schedule 3 to 5 people to come, about 60% to 70% will show up. Just the math, by the way. So 3 people are booked, 2 will come. On a bad day, 1 will come. On a good day, maybe all 3 will come. But I have to be honest, I don't think I've ever booked 3 to 5 people and had not at least 1 or 2 people not show up. It's just the way it is. It's part of the weeding process. When they don't show up, or they show up an hour late or 30 minutes late, that's just how I weed them out. The problem is if you're just meeting one person, and like we just weeded that guy out by not showing up, but unfortunately you create a big consequence behind weeding him. We want to make weeding easy. So like when you're weeding someone, you're like, "Oh, that's good. He didn't show up. Okay, now I don't have to mess with him." You just figured out everything you need to know about him. Like that he don't show up. He don't keep his word. He's definitely not a person of honor, right? Because someone of honor, I can tell you, if I tell you I'm going to show up and I'm going to be late, I'm calling you. And like, "Hey, sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I can't believe I'm late. Like, is 10 minutes okay?" And it's like, if I'm 10 minutes late, it's like an anomaly for me to be 10 minutes late. But if I was, I would call you and we'd communicate and I would apologize. And I would definitely bring light to the fact that I'm late and apologize for it. That's who you want to work with. They would handle it the same way as that. And I imagine you would do the same. Like, I don't know if you're somebody that likes to show up an hour late, but you're probably not, I would guess. You're probably someone that says they're going to be there at 1, you come at 1, like most people do, like normal people. There are some people that are like, "I'll be there at 1," and they just show up 1:45 and they're just like oblivious to the fact that that happened. That is not who we want to work with as a contractor, though. And if you are the person that shows up at 1:45, I would suggest you become the person that shows up at 1, for anyone else who might be that person, because you won't be able to hire good people to keep their promises if you don't. Like, they won't work for someone who shows up 45 minutes late if they're someone who's on time. Because I can tell you right now, like if I was working for you and I would be gone 20 minutes in if you were 45 minutes late. I would just leave, and you would never get the opportunity to work with someone who keeps their promises, because like people want to work with people like them. So sometimes we have to become like the people we want to work with if we're not those people. Sometimes we just are. Often at your house, it means more to you. You're likely going to show up. But if you are showing up late consistently, then work on that and fix it, because it'll cause you it'll cause you to weed out the good people instead of weeding out the bad people. We don't want to weed out the good people. We want to weed out the bad people. So, and I don't think that's actually an issue with most people that I've heard in this program that I've seen. You guys are all pretty solid, do exactly what you say, and that's awesome. Like I do weed a lot for that, because I don't want to work with people who are going to be kind of outrageous about showing up and everything. So pretty important stuff. With that being said, keep doing what you're doing. Keep focusing on it. Talk to anyone else that you got. I don't know how many people you've gotten to respond. If enough people aren't responding, spend another $35, put a new ad out, get more specific, throw the thing in it, and just be like, maybe put the number at 6K or 7K. I don't even know, just to see. Just basically, and I don't know, and you'll get an opportunity to see if more people are coming. You're spending a couple bucks, but again, like, we're talking about, like, instead of paying 18K, you're paying 8K. Like, it's worth $100 and some ads, right? Because and then you get to use this person on your next flip and your next flip. So yeah, this is good money spent. This is some of the best money you'll ever invest. Because really very little when we're, I do love it when it's $5 versus 35. But that being said, I normally do 3-day runs. So I'm usually spending 15. So the difference is $20. Like it's like Chipotle.
Yeah, Michael, I just wondering, how much is your electrician charge you for each light?
We don't do it by each light. We've gotten down to kind of standardized pricing. He just basically comes in and, we don't have it like to a light price. He basically comes in and he does what's necessary, gets the house right. He usually charges me somewhere between $3,000 to $6,000. So 3,000 would be something like your house would probably cost me about $3,500, maybe 4,000 max. But if I have a house that need all new wiring because the wiring's bad and maybe it's knob and tube or something, because I do a lot of older houses that aren't built in the 50s and 60s, something built in the 20s and 30s generally might need all new wiring. That would be around like 6K. Like 6K is the max I pay for anything. And that would usually be doing a new service, new wiring, and what I talked about, the minimum lights like we talked about, and just getting everything, smoke detectors and all that, pulling permits, about 6K. Most of the houses I do that are in similar shape to yours usually run me about 2,000 to 2,500 as a base, and then if I got something like like a box that needs to be put in, that might bring it up to like 4K. I generally am paying about 1,500 for the box now, so about 4K would sound about normal for that. But 8K is high because you guys have to have licensed people, so it corners the market a little bit for you. And so in your house is a little bit bigger. So again, you're not, if people are saying 20, then 8 is awesome. It's a big jump in the right direction. So I obviously definitely know you could drive it down a little bit in the future. Even if you just drove it down to 6,500, there is someone out there that will do it for 6,500 that knows how to work with investors, who can get in and out of there and make, because like at 6,500, if they're spending $1,000 on materials or 1,500 and they're making $5, to do that electric in your house is literally like 2 guys for like 3 days to rough it in and 2 guys for a day to finish work. So we're talking like 2 guys for 4 days. So think of someone making like $5,000 for 2 guys for 4 days. It's really good money. Someone could easily, run a crew and make 200-300K a year doing that. The problem is there's people who need to make 800-900K a year because they're spending a couple $100K a year on marketing, and then trucks and offices and all that are really expensive, and they're passing that cost on to you. So we want people that are like, I mean, there's a lot of my guys that make 150 to 200K a year, and they're excited to do so, and they're very happy about it. So if I get someone who couldn't even survive on that, then that's the wrong person.
You said 3K to 4K. Does that include the panel?
It does not. It's about 25. If I got to put a panel in, that's usually another $1,000 to $1,500. So yeah, usually my number gets more around 4 to 5K with a panel and everything. So like your job, if my guy came back and said it was 6, I'd be like, what? I mean, no. I mean, like, I got to do all this. I'd be like, no. I go get somebody probably right now. I probably could get your job done for 4,500, maybe 4,000 to 4,500.
Yeah.
So in that ballpark, because they'll come in, and my guys are really quick. They'll bring 2 to 3 guys in. They'll have all that done in a day. They'll have it roughed in a day, 2 days max, because there are 3 people and they're quick. And then they come in, they'll take 1 day to finish it. So they're just a couple days work. So they're okay with making like 5K, 4K. So they're all making good money. They're paying their people fairly. Your neighborhood has a little more taxes, a little more cost of living. So it can definitely be higher, but not like double. Right, it shouldn't be double. So, but I do think you've made good strides, but and you need to get this thing going. And if you were going to overpay for a few things, it's okay to do that on electric, plumbing, and HVAC a little bit. But just keep in mind, I just want you to know that there's still more room to grow. Don't get set in stone like, oh, that's what I pay now, right? Because there's room to get it cheaper for sure. And you got to be patient though to get the cheaper price. But when we're talking about, not paying 16K for the plumbing and paying like maybe 5 to 7K, that's totally worth waiting a few weeks to get that done. There's no better money you could make than that. Right? You're going to be making like 7 to 10K just by waiting a week or two. Your cost of holding the home is nowhere near that expensive, obviously. And even though it is a pretty expensive house. So yeah, just keep working on it. And obviously, and then you have a budget. We're going to go over that tomorrow or the next tomorrow. It is tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So we'll go over that in detail. I'll clean it up, and I want to make sure the budget makes sense. And we'll look at some of the things that might be more expensive, and we'll detail it out and try to get it as clean as possible. Once you know what you need to be, it's just a matter of like putting an ad out, bringing people through and working with them until you get someone to agree. I can tell you that Glory, if she's still on the call, she told me when she first started, there's no one will work for the prices. But here she is, someone's working for the prices. right? Everyone says that when they're new. And after time, they realize that, oh, wow, that's just not true. It's just a limiting belief that I have, that as soon as I understand that they will definitely work for the prices, because believe me, it's not something I'm getting because I do a lot of flips. It's something that every student gets. If they stick to it. Darshan's getting stuff done for cheaper. He's the first person maybe he just thinks differently, but he's the first person I've given my standardized pricing and was like, yeah, let me see if I can get it done cheaper. Everyone else is like, this is too cheap. And you're coming from the place of like, oh, who will work for this price? Well, when you have that belief, then when people tell you that, then all you're doing, you need one person now to verify what you believe, and then you'll just go with that. And that's what people do. That's the thing we create, right? We're like, if I tell you 5 and you think it's 8, and the first person tells you 15, you're like, oh my God, I'll never get it done for even 8. And then someone tells you 8, you're all happy to get it for 8. But if you're like 100% like, no, Mike said 5, let me keep looking. Well, guess what? You won't interview 2 contractors and go with 8. You'll interview 15 contractors and find 5, which is a big deal, because going through 15 of them to find the 5, 6, or something that's more better, you're going to get that benefit for however long that person works with you. But, you know, and you get it instantly on that particular house, but then obviously you'll be able to get it in the future. And even better than that, if you get the 5K guy, he knows other people that are priced similarly. He will have connections you'll be able to get other contractors. I've undoubtedly, every time my great electrician came from my great plumber, and vice versa. Actually from another electrician, I found the plumber. So I found from my great electrician, I have multiple of everything, because I do enough houses that I can't have like one person. I have to have multiple people. So anyhow, yeah, that comes from each other. So I would say, yeah, let's just keep looking at your ad, and we'll look at your budget tomorrow, and we'll go into detail of that and try to get some details. And then keep call back to people who've already responded, see if anyone's ready. If they're not, then we'll tweak the ad and keep running it. So it's always the thing, like if it didn't work this time, it will work. I promise you. I've never seen it not work ever. I've seen people quit at it. That's very likely, and that happens quite often. They give up on it, or they tell me, "No, Mike, I worked it out," and then they overpay, and then they tell me later, I overpaid, and what can you do about it? Can you teach me how to fix that? I'm like, no, I can't teach you how to fix it. There's nothing to teach you. I can only teach you how to fix it before you do it. Once you've done it, then we just have to fix it next time. All right? We can't, because once you pay someone too much, then I can't tell you how to fix that. But if, you know, it's no big deal. It's not the end of the world. But just take notes of it, right? I try not to be hard on myself when I make mistakes, because, I mean, as humans, we make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect. I just want you making less mistakes and better choices every day, because every time you make less mistakes, better choices every day, you make more money.
Yeah.
Right. That's as simple as it can be. I wish as a house flipper, it isn't for the faint of heart, because house flipping requires you to make a lot of mistakes, be very resourceful, figure things out. But the successful house flippers make less mistakes, and they're way more resourceful than most. And they don't, we can't use language like, well, no one will do it, because they totally will do it. Right. It's like just reverse engineer that a little. Like there's someone that'll come in there and do that thing for probably a couple grand. If that's what you had your heart set on, would you have to interview a lot more people and take a lot more time to find that person? Sure. But that person does exist. Very real thing. But right now we got to find the balance of like, what you have time for and, what you can do. So, I think we, keep looking, put the ad back out again if you have to. Give it some time. Give it some time. Call all the people that have replied. If you got 10 people that replied, make sure you've talked to all 10 people.
Do you think I should put different job on different advertisement? So if, for example, electrician and HVAC and plumber, I'm going to put different, or just put one ad? Well,
so we start with Craigslist because it works, and that's usually all we need. But what you can do, and Michael Chow's done a couple of times, is he's actually done like Facebook, his page, his personal page, or like any business page. You can put it in Facebook groups. Like if you're in like any kind of REIA groups, any kind of meetups that are for real estate that have a discussion board, you can put it on there. So this is an advertisement. Any place you can put it that those people likely that would respond to it, that's what I would do. I would put it out on Facebook, and if you're not getting a ton of people from that, then put it out on Craigslist. You're not getting enough people from that, then throw it on Facebook. He found someone recently that met his price because he was in the same boat. He was way overpaying for electric, and then just recently he didn't tell me. And then when we started doing post-flip analysis, I was like, why is this budget so high? What happened? And we dug into it. We found like he paid too much for an electrician, and he was paying him like $13K or something to do a house. And he got a whole new rewire. And I was like $8,500, and $8,500 for him, keep in mind, is only about $6K, $7K for us, because the dollar's different. So Canadian, it's going to be like, I think 85 is probably like 65, roughly, ballpark. So he then got someone to do it for 6,500, and he was paying 13, which was like 10 or 11, and he now just got someone to do it for 85, which is like 65. And but once he thought he could do it, he's like, no one would respond, no one will do it. I keep getting crazy people. But I was like, you're not marketing enough. That's the secret. You got to market more. So you got to get it to more people. So he did more Craigslist. He paid. He was doing free, and then he's like, okay, I'll pay. He's trying to save the $30 or whatever it was. I was like, okay, go ahead and put the $30 in, invest that, and then throw it on some other discussion boards. And he ended up finding someone on his Facebook page or someone that came out. The guy's killing it for him right now. It's done. It's going to be his electrician now. I'm very happy he found him, and he's excited to work with him. He's saving. I think we ran the numbers today. He's saving 3 or 4K on that one item. So that's a big deal. It's a really big deal over the whole job to be able to save 3 to 4K on just one item. And Steve, getting back to Steve, what Steve and Sin are doing here, they easily could be getting prices for 20K to do that framing. Like it's, it's enough there that they easily could be getting that, or they could easily get it done for 5. And if they can pay 10 or 15K less for this and maybe get a great framer for the future, that would be awesome. Like that's what we're going for. That's the secret sauce to making money and being competitive. Because see, every time you drive your price down, then that means the cheaper you can do the rehab, the more you can offer, and the more likely you can get deals. You can take the same deals that you're already buying easily, right, and then make more money on them. And that's been my big mission for the last year, has been, how do I make more money on my flips? And it's all through driving down the cost of the renovation, like speeding up the speed once I get the right team in place. You can't do that when you're building. You're building right now, so be patient. So we do have to be slow when we're building. But once you've built your team, then figuring out how to get more people working in a better way. And then at the end, pricing it aggressively so you can get multiple offers and get people to go crazy and pay more than you expected. Just creating an environment that likely will get you extra money, right? And Hannah just had a deal they were working on, and I don't know what the final outcome is, but they got an offer 5 days ago, and we've been strategizing on how to keep pushing the offer. Well, they thought they originally were going to sell it for 240. They ended up listing it for 260. I'm sorry, 240 actually. They found out that they kind of got it wrong because the market had went up in the time they owned it. So now they're actually doing 275, and they already got an offer. They got an offer and it was like 265. They got them up to 275. Now they got them up to 285, and they think they have other offers coming in now because right as they gave a verbal to accept it before they actually signed the paper, they held it so long that new offers came in, and they're probably going to be in the 290s. So they're taking a deal at 240. They bought it and they were going to make pretty good money at 240, but they're taking a deal now that was, they were going to probably make 30K on a 240. And if they get into 290s, they might make $80,000 on the deal that was only a 30K renovation, because of this negotiation technique and how they're pricing and what they're doing and how they're holding out and all the T's. So this creates some really big wins. Robert had a deal. He listed for 290 and got 330 for it. I just had one recently that I got a great number on. Samir's deal, we got a really good number on. I think it's supposed to hopefully settle today. We'll see. That's what we're working on. So yeah, these things are all possible. Hey, we should be good. Let me make sure nobody's.
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I'm looking to paint the house and do interior painting.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a guy that's done my framing. He did the sheetrocking, and he's going to work on the tiles for the bathroom.
Okay.
Then I talked about like doing the interior painting. We have budgeted about $1,800 to like paint the basement, paint every first floor, second floor, the ceiling, walls, and the doors. And he thought 1,800 was a little too high, so I was looking to run this funnel for that.
You're saying he thought it was too low, you mean, not too high?
No, he thought it was too high. And then he thought the budget was too low.
Low, okay, because I was like, he's thought too high, then just give him what he wants.
Like,
well, what were you thinking? Are you thinking like 1,000? I'm in.
Right.
Like, yeah, we never get negotiated like that. I wish that happened. That's like another world. So yeah, you can run the funnel, but also we've just ran a funnel for painters. So instead of you running, obviously I love when you run the funnel, but we did just run a funnel for painters and for flat roofers. So I could share it with you, and you're more than welcome to call the people. You could reach out.
Cool.
So you could reach out, or I'll just give you the funnel and you can just work off of it if you don't think there's anything there.
All
Then
right.
we run it. We put in 2K though, by the way, but it was for a house way bigger than yours. It was a single family house that was like 1,600 square feet. You got a row home, so those generally like 1,800 is like, if the guys can paint a row home in 2 days, usually no more than 2.5 days. So row homes are quick. It's less area, right? It's small.
Yeah,
But if they're
I
not
was just thinking.
painters, it's not
Right.
painters. It ain't gonna work for them because they're gonna be slow.
I was thinking about maybe like using this to like kind of leverage. If I get his price down lower, or him to like meet my price, since I'm giving him the other jobs anyways.
Yeah, let him do what he wants. Let him. I always
Okay.
like to put people in the right seat on the bus. So let him do what he enjoys doing, what he's making money. One of the worst things you could do is try to leverage them and get them to do something they don't enjoy. Because if they're not good at it, they're not going to make money, and you're not going to be happy with the results, and they're going to complain. And you could take someone who's a really good contractor at certain things, and you can actually burn them out or cause him to quit and not want to work with you. So sometimes. You've heard me say this analogy probably. I use it quite often, but contractors are like goldfish. If you drop the whole thing of food in there, I did this when I was young, killed my goldfish named John. He's dead. I just my mom taught me, like, you got to put a pinch in. She told me that after I killed the goldfish. Like, if you drop the whole thing of food in there, the goldfish will die. I guess you all know that. Or am I the only one that's experienced that and had a traumatic injury? Like, I'm dealing with the pain still. Like, he was my friend and I killed him. Like, murdered my friend. But no one.
My dad didn't understand.
He killed one too? Oh, that's what I'm saying. You can't give all the food to them.
Overfeeding.
They'll eat it all. They'll just eat and die. So contractors are exactly the same. And, like, maybe not even as cool as a goldfish, but they're exactly the same. If you try to get them to do work, they often will agree. They'll often take on too much work. They'll do things they can't do. So our job becomes to give them the pinch of food every day, because if we know he's not really a good painter, and how we know that he's not a really efficient painter is his price. His price is giving him away. The fact that 1,800 is a really fair price when you're talking about doing 2 days worth. Like, if he just does it by himself, he'll have it done in 3-4 days if he was a good painter. So $1,800, good money for like 3-4 days work, don't you think? Like, I'm sure that guy's not. I mean, I'm sure that's very good money for him. The thing is, if he's not a good painter, he could be there 2-3 weeks doing it. Right? It could take him forever, and then he's going to be pretty mad if he's only making like $600 a week. He ain't going to be real pumped, and you're not going to be happy either that it took him 3 weeks, and he's probably going to eat up a bunch of paint, do it all wrong, make a mess. He's not going to be good at it. So what we found is like, I sometimes, if I can see someone's not a good fit, it becomes my responsibility to go ahead and be like, dude, let me just tap you out of this one, get you focused on things you're doing well. If you're doing the tile and everything else, let you keep doing those things, trim, doors, whatever you're good at. Let me go ahead and get a painter in. Somebody who walks in and looks at your house and says, yeah, 1,800 is good, Marlo. I'm good with that. No problem.
All right.
Because they exist, by the way. I mean, I've gotten row homes like that
Sounds good.
painted for $1,200 to $1,400 before. But, I'd say at 1,800, you should have no problem finding the right person who is not who's fast. I mean, they're going to come in and spray, and they're going to roll, and they know how to cut a wall in. Like, the first sign is they don't know what they're doing is they're taping. That takes like forever. Like, I even taught Delonte, Rashad, and Tanya when they painted, they were taping, and Rashad spent 2 hours taping a room up. I came in, I was like, take the tape off. And he's like, oh man, I spent 2 hours doing this. I'm like, yeah, but you're not doing this to make a living. I'm teaching you how to paint, right? Painters don't spend 2 hours putting tape down. They learn to cut in, because the same 2 hours it took him to put the tape down, he could have painted in an hour if he knew what he was doing. But instead, he spent 2 hours waiting to do and turned it into a 3-hour job instead of making it a 1-hour job and being patient. So there's a lot of painters out there that make things 3-hour jobs when they're only 1 hour, right? They roll still. If you roll, it takes you twice as long to paint a wall, like literally twice as long. It's way more energy and effort, physical energy and effort to do, and it can take 2 to 3 times as long. So when people are still not using efficient techniques, they're going to want more money. They're going to say 1,800. That's not fair, because I'm taping walls and trim, and I'm rolling walls, and I'm painting like my 16-year-old nephew would paint. Like, that's how they do it. Or somebody went to, did a Home Depot class with paint. Professional painters don't do that. Real painters are like, nah, man, I don't do that. I'm not spraying this thing up. I'll be out of here quick, because they know how to make money. So yeah, go ahead and do that. But I wouldn't worry about trying to leverage your guy, because he might agree, and you might end up getting what you want him to do the work, but you might end up like souring your relationship potentially. But I would just try to find someone who loves what you're offering and just totally is into it. Does that make sense? I think you probably heard that. So who else has some questions? And Marlo, thanks for that. I think that's a good one. And obviously, if you want to check out our funnel, Marlo, I'll give you access to it. You're certainly welcome to run it yourself too if you want to get some fresh people. We did run it like 2 weeks ago, so some of those names could be a little old. And actually, I think the painter one is the one we ran in the training. So you could use the one that you got, the Craigslist ad is actually for painters, the sample you got. So you could literally just use that exact thing. Just change it from 2,000 to 1,800, or you might even say 16, by the way. What Darshan's been doing, and he's working on a house right around the corner from you, he's been putting less money and he's been getting people to actually do it. So you might even put like 16 just to see where you go with it. You will definitely get responses, I promise you. For labor only. So who else has some questions I can help with?
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey, I didn't know if you'd had a chance. I got the budget back from you, and you had some questions on it.
Oh, yeah.
I sent back an email addressing some of those. I didn't know what your thoughts were.
Yep, I did. Let me pull it up and everybody can look at it so they can see. And I'll kind of walk you through some of the questions I had for you. So Les sent me his budget, and some of the things he sent me look to be incorrect. I don't know if they are for sure, but anytime something doesn't look right, we want to make sure it isn't. And we don't want to just be like, all right, that's what it is. So what I mean by that is it actually looked like I think you said 200 sheets of sheetrock, and one of the things I remembered. Let's see, Michael Ashbury's keys. Let me know when you can take a look before that copy. Like, do you want to do a walkthrough? Like, I don't want to do a walkthrough. Okay. Hold on. All right, we got to figure out what's going on there. All right, so we'll get that done. So let's see. Can you call my mom and make sure that the wiring stuff for her is done? Like for Samira, everything's good with that. Okay, just take care of that for me, thanks. And let me find your email real quick from you, Les. And so the one thing it said you needed 200 sheets of sheetrock. 200 sheets of sheetrock would sound like you'd be re-sheetrocking the whole house pretty much. Maybe 250 would be like everything. So my concern was if you have 200 sheets, it may be that you're deciding to sheetrock some stuff that you could save. And because, that like if we can even just go back over that and be like, oh, wow, it's only 150. That's a pretty big deal when you're talking about $20 a sheet to hang it, and about $10 to $15 a sheet for the materials, $35 a sheet. 50 sheets is quite a bit of money. About $700-800 maybe. Is that right? And then 10 times, no, it'd be 350. No, so it's 5 times 350. No, it's about $1,500. Yeah, so it's quite a bit of money. Just cutting it down like that. Now, if you do that across the whole budget, Les, it's a pretty big deal, right? It's actually going to matter quite a bit. So let's see. I think you had some. Oh yeah, I'm gonna just read your email real quick, and I think you got some numbers going on there. So like, I think I can pull that up. I'm not sure. So let me move you guys out of the way very quickly. Oh, the 30-foot includes whatever specialty tile I'll be putting in the kitchen. After looking at the drawing, accounting for the first floor bathroom and stairs, it would be more like 600 feet of what, including 10%. 600 feet for the tile or for the backsplash?
No, 600 feet for the hardwood floor on the first floor only.
Good, because I thought it was like
770.
There you go. That's 100 square feet at $5 a foot. That's $500. Bam, dude. Here,
Right.
we'll do a high five on the thing. It's $500, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't want you wasting money and then paying someone for $700 and having a bunch of extra stuff you can't take back, or things like that. So same thing with the backsplash. The backsplash is usually only going to be 18 inches, 16 inches high. So if you had 15 foot of backsplash, like linear feet of backsplash, which you don't have that much because it's only going to go behind one wall cabinets. I'm guessing you got a 12 to 13 feet from the drawings, what I remember. You would basically be like 12 times like 1.6, or not even like 1.2. So like it's about 15 feet, not 30. So the 30 feet is all it's going to, and then when you're doing the stuff in the shower that she gave for you, you generally just need a couple.
Right.
So like each shower is going to be like 3 to 4 pieces of backsplash, but it's usually not the same backsplash by the way. So that you don't really pay any additional for like putting a accent tile in your bathroom. It just gets installed at the regular rate. So that's how that works. The backsplash, you pay a little bit more for that, but the backsplash happens to be some of your most expensive tile. So if it is truly only 15 or 16 feet, you want to know that, so you're not, because some of that stuff can be $10. So it's buying 7 foot is $170 versus buying $300 worth. And again, making sure we get the labor pricing right, because we can't go back and ask them for more money. And then it says also the roof has patches, needs to be pulled up. My plan is to slate. Oh, it says my plan is to pull the slate off and bump out the back approximately 70 pieces.
No, you remember that back porch area where you enter?
Yeah.
That small little back porch, that's got slate on it. I was going to take the slate off of there because that's like, I don't know, maybe like a third of a square.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
Yeah, just put some shingles on it and then use those tiles to replace the holes I've got on the roof because you can't find this stuff, and
a roof guy was like, okay, that was his plan. Like you didn't figure that out on your own. Like he told you could do that.
No, that's my plan.
That's your plan. Okay. And all right. I
need to find a roof guy who can do it. Yeah.
Now you got to talk to a roof guy. Reach out to Samara. She actually had a slate guy. She might be able to share with you because not everybody knows how to do slate, and he probably can do that.
Okay.
So she sounds like she got a good price on it and everything. But a good idea, by the way. I like what you're doing, and I think that's probably could be a good idea. I mean, you're going to need someone to agree to it, but I like that you're figuring it out and you're telling them, if that makes sense. So also it says for the parking pad, are we thinking gravel or some type of smooth stone? Yeah, I'm probably thinking gravel. And also, I think you put 120 square feet on it, and it usually is not a 10 by 12. It's usually going to be like a 10 by 16 as a minimum. They say 21 square feet, but if you can do 10 by 16, that's enough to park a car. And then people can park, at least want one car, someone can park out back. And you could easily do some stone. I think it would be fine. Like at that price point, like you're giving them a lot of house. You're selling it for a very reasonable price. I don't think that it's going to make or break the deal if it's stone or concrete. But stone's going to cost you a couple $100. You're just going to edge out some dirt and have them drop some stone in your driveway, and you're just going to take a shovel and start throwing it on there. So you're talking like $100 in labor and $200 in stone. So you're talking $300 to $400 max, versus like concrete runs at about $7 a foot, and you need 12 by 16 or 10 by 16. You're about 200 feet. So you're talking maybe $1,500 to do a driveway otherwise. So about $1,000.
Right, so you're talking about saving $1,000. Yeah.
$1,000, yeah, roughly. So grand's $1,000, and it really does add up throughout the job. And it's one of those things that's definitely not going to make a big difference. Now, like we and Jeff, they can't put rocks in our $800,000 house, but you certainly can in a $215,000 or $10,000 house. Totally, no one's going to care. Like they're going to be just happy you did it, right? They're really thankful that you even have a driveway, that you have someplace for them to park. They generally never very picky about it. So same thing on the roof.
Speaking about the driveway.
Yeah, go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish that.
I was saying same thing.
Remember
on the
when
roof?
You came out?
Yeah. The roof is the same thing though. Like just being able to, you're only trying to get it certified. So like whatever it takes to get it working and certified, that's all you're trying to accomplish, is to have a licensed roofer say, I certify this roof, and here's a 2-year certification that you can pass on to the buyer.
Gotcha. You were talking about the driveway, and you remember when we were out, you asked me to get a survey. I called Holly and got that done. It looks like the driveway is a part of this property. On the deed, and when I went back to Maryland land records, it doesn't show any sign of there being an easement or anything like that. And I know we were talking about maybe doing like a privacy fence that might block it off from the house next door or something like that. How do you go about it? So
you're saying the whole driveway is all yours? None of it's theirs?
So looking at the survey drawing that was sent, there's like a 3-foot section of the very end of the driveway at the back that falls onto their property line. But yeah, for the most part, the entire thing's on this property.
Now, is there a driveway that goes over into theirs, or is it just they're just using your driveway then?
Well, I mean, they poured a pad out back. I mean, it looks like at one point there was, a solid pad back there. And
if you were to put a fence, would they still be able to park?
If I put a fence a foot from the house?
A fence like maybe a foot from the property line, where you think the property line is, would they still have the ability to park?
Oh, no way.
Because my whole concern is, like, I don't want them burning your house down or acting, well, I probably do want them burning your house down because you probably get paid big time in insurance, but we don't want to piss the neighbors off and then have them saying crazy shit and, calling the permit department and doing all kind of stuff. So, it's nice that you do own it. So obviously, tell them to try to, just to be very, be very diplomatic until you get the thing sold, but you do need to, people are going to ask about the parking, but the parking is totally yours. So you can just park in the driveway, it seems, cause it seems like the driveway predominantly is yours. So once people start parking in that, if there's any disputes, just let them know, like, hey man, it's my driveway, right? And you can park in it. So as you start letting your contractors park in it, it'll start to give them the hint that they kind of can't really park in it anymore. So hopefully you want to kind of work that out a little bit, but very diplomatically, because we don't want to start trouble with our neighbors. That's never a good thing. I got a neighbor. It's right now the reason I'm wondering why I wasn't selling a house. I've never have any houses doesn't sell. I found a neighbor's been shit talking my house. Like he's been literally going in on every showing, and the guy must not have a job, and he's just going in there and telling people that like, oh, this house has major water problems, and these guys spent like $50K on this renovation. They're trying to sell it for $200K more. You know, this place is a real dump. The work they did was not correct, and I pulled full permits.
Wow.
So like he's basically just I could sue him for it, but I gotta catch him doing it, because now he's done it so much that 2 people have told me he's done it. So now I got 2 people saying it, and a third person I think said something to him, because they're saying, what are you going to do about the water problems? And I'm like, what water problems? There ain't no goddamn water problems. This guy keeps saying I got water problems, but like there ain't no water problems. He's just talking crazy. Come to find out, he tried to buy it from the person that sold it to me, and he was offering them $50K less. And obviously didn't take his offer, and he's just been like a real weirdo. And he literally, like, one agent told me he just like busted in the door, and they were trying to get rid of him, and he wouldn't leave. So I got to catch him doing it. He didn't really know who I am. I got to catch him doing it and then record him and then threaten to sue him. Usually I've had this happen like 3 other times in my life, and I've had to like actually go confront them. And once I do it, the problem usually goes away. But I knew there had to be a reason, because I'm placed really well. And I'm like, why are people acting so weird? Is it just this weird neighborhood? And no, it's the neighbor's been talking crazy shit. So I tell you this story, it's very relevant to, like, we don't really want to piss our neighbors off any more than we have to now. So, so yes, just start parking in your driveway, and maybe that'll give them the hint, kind of, right? Because, but I wouldn't put a fence up necessarily, because that's kind of a power move, if that makes sense. You might be starting some trouble. It's a little bit like, F you, this is my driveway. So
right, the plan is not to bring it up until I have to bring it up, because when I look at the land records for the neighbor, she's been there for 20 years.
Absolutely. Park in your driveway. And if she says anything, just be like, hey, show them the survey and be like, hey, it's my driveway. I mean, if there's obviously it isn't, then, let me know. But like, you do want to try to work it out before you sell it, or at least get some understanding, because when you're selling it, people are going to have a question, and you definitely don't want them just like parking in the driveway. And because see, another thing people don't want, if you create a beef with the neighbor, well, then the new person has to kind of live with them. People, like, even if my neighbor's telling lies, one thing that neighbor is doing by coming in my house and acting crazy is people at a minimum are saying like, well, I got a freaking lunatic that walks in our house that's just walking in random houses talking crazy. Like, nobody wants to live next to that guy. Like, the guy, even if he's either telling the truth or I got a crazy neighbor, I can't win either way. So I got to stop him from doing it. So that I'm, working on figuring out how to do that, because it's a $400,000 house. So I don't really, I've only run in this like 3 times before. I had like this racist guy next door to me who kept flying like a Confederate flag in a predominantly black neighborhood. And he's like the only white guy left there, and he has a Confederate flag, like he's some freaking Nazi or something, or some Southern hillbilly. And I'm like, come on, dude, you're killing me. I even paid, like, I told him I'd pay him to take it down. I told him I would do whatever. And guys like, F you, it's my freedom. And I was like, okay, man.
Wow.
I ended up selling the house, but like, I got someone who was more tolerant. Who was like, I don't care, it's a good deal. I had to like undersell it though to make it sell. I couldn't get comps for it. So this, again, it's about 3 to 4 times in my life I've run into bad neighbors, like so bad that they actually affected the sale. But you want to make sure you don't create that situation. Like, so you don't start a beef with them and then create problems. You want to get them on your team as much as possible. So figure out how to do that. You're welcome to talk to me more about it as you get more information. So basically, I think I have this pulled up now. Let's walk through it real quick. Let's go over here. Let me pull it over. I can grab it. Oh, is that actually mine? Or okay, that is. Yeah, that's it right here. Okay, cool. I think it's mine. I don't see the number on it. Oh, cool. So let's see. So this is too high. It said basically, so yes, the trim is definitely, you won't need 1,000 foot of trim. It's linear feet. The reason I know is it's an equation you can run. This is what we're going to talk about on Saturday. I know you work, but if you can make it, we're going to talk about equations you can run. But one quick equation you can run for trim or baseboard is that if you have 1,000 square foot house, that it will be about 30 to 35% of that So in linear feet. So let's say you got a 1,000-foot house, you'd be about 300 linear feet of baseboard. So if you got a 2,000 square foot house, that's what you do have, by the way. You're talking maybe 700 feet to 600 to 700 feet. That's if you needed all new baseboard and you weren't saving anything. But from what I remember, we were going to save a lot of stuff. So now we have to take that into the equation. So if you were to do all new trim throughout the house, which I wouldn't advise you to do, I would try to save a lot of it. It would be about 600 to 700 linear feet. But if you are saving anything, then it's going to be less. So I would want to figure out like two questions. Obviously, where did the 1,000 come from? And the second is, are you actually saving as much as possible? Because that's a big difference in price and it's going to help you out a lot. And even with that, you did have too low of a price. So I put in like 1,000 and 1,000. I jumped the price up for what you'll need. That should easily cover you to do whatever you need, as long as you don't rip it all out, right? Save everything you can. That's always the secret sauce in an old house. Save what you can. Samara, that's why we did that training at her house and showed like everything we could save. That is on the flip factor at this point. So on the cracking the contractor code, if you weren't, I know you were there, I believe, but if you want to see it again, she saved most stuff she could save, and that saved her a lot of money overall. So that was one. Backsplashing's high. We talked about that. Hardwood 770. You got that down to 600. Okay, good. And that's going to be what, your living room, dining room, kitchen, first floor, essentially. No, not the bedroom on the first floor, though, right? Do you have a bedroom on the first floor?
So yeah, that back room there, it's bedroom/office. I wasn't sure whether or not to include that. I did include that in the number at the 600.
So do
that
not.
Would be hardwood back.
It's definitely a bedroom though, right? We thought it was one of the bedrooms, not really an office though, because I mean, the thing about the neighborhood, how many people are working from home at their office, right? There's no working professionals in that neighborhood, so they don't really need an office. What they need is a room for someone to live in. So they might turn it into an office or a gym or something else, but I would just put carpet in it, because that's going to save you, it's probably like a 10 by 13, save you another 100 some feet. So now we gotten it down to like maybe 500 and some, and it's starting to make more sense to me, by the way, because most of my houses run about 300 to 500 square feet. When I seen 770, I was like, okay, something's off. This seems considerably higher. So that's why I was just put that note there. It seems high. I was like, I don't know if it's high, but it seems high. So I'm glad we got it down. You got your numbers a little tighter, and we took a room off. So this is some pretty big money we can save. There's a lot of this throughout the whole flip list that we'll be able to figure out to keep your costs down. This is just the planning phase. So this is really big. And we talked about maybe able to do stone. We got that. That's pretty awesome. I think we're pretty solid, man. We should be pretty good from here then. That's some initial changes. We have a lot more details to get. Windows are always going to be $250 each roughly for a standard window.
Okay.
So, labor is usually 100, so that's why I put 200, and you get about 150 for the window max. But we'll talk more about that. Then you got 2,000 square feet. Let's see, paint exterior. Oh, I took that from like, I don't know where you were, but I put it at about 1,200, because it's not. You really.
It was at 1,800.
Yeah, it's only about 12. I mean, to paint the outside takes 2 guys to 2 days max. Okay. So I think $1,200. If you're paying the guys $300 a day and they're really good, that would be a great painter, like an awesome fast painter. They should be, making like $1,200 should be fine. And paint won't cost you much. You only need about 20 gallons of paint. So it won't take very much. Make 15, 20 for the walls, and then about 5 gallons for the trim. And nothing here, nothing there. Framing. I got your framing up some. It was lower. You got 80 foot, but the structural beam is more. So 80 foot at $10 a foot, it's definitely going to be about maybe $800. And I think that's what you originally had. But then you got that structural beam that maybe 1 or 2 you need to do. You might be like $500 to $600 in labor for that. So I'm putting you in about, I put 15 to be safe. Know that feel free at any price I give you to try to do it for less. Right. So sometimes I give you prices. I'm like, these are kind of the max you should be paying, but you could always come in and say, hey man, how long would it take you? How much you want to make a day? And someone's like 200 and I can do it 3 days. You might be like, hey, would it be good then? Like that's $600. What if I just paid you like 7? Would that be fair? You might find that, right? I mean, I often do find that. And they're like, yeah, man, I'll do it for 7, because they're thinking daily, right? Maybe 7 or 8. And now you're saving money. But 1,500 would be more like what someone, if they understood a little bit of pricing, would want to be paid. And then sheetrock, that definitely seems high, 200 sheets. So, because 200 sheets would be majority of the house. Did you actually like measure the square footage when you were kind of deciding? Do you remember what walls we were going to save, versus which ones we weren't? Because I know on the first floor we were saving a lot of walls, and maybe there's some ceilings that were coming out. And then second floor, I felt like we were saving a decent amount of stuff, but there were some rooms that were pretty bad that we were going to sheetrock. but I didn't know we were sheetrocking all of it. So you could be
So I
200.
put the 200 number in there as a worst case scenario, just because
Okay.
it was a big house. What I'm finding as we did the demo and in some of the rooms on the second floor where I wanted to save it, they've already done like a 1/2-inch thick sheet on top of the plaster behind it. So when it gets like close to the windows and things like that, there's no room to stack, like a 1/4-inch sheet on top, and just cover it. So there's some places where I've had to put it on the second floor, but most of the drywall second floor, like in the master, the bedroom, bathroom, I was able to save those walls because they're going to be half-size rooms. You're not really going to notice.
Yeah, exactly.
I only had to pull one ceiling down.
Okay. And then so obviously your master, you're going to be more picky. Your first floor, you're going to be more picky. Obviously if you can just touch up walls that are like extra bedrooms on the third floor, they won't have as high of a standard. So, okay. It sounds like you're right. I would probably just, before you get into replacing sheetrock, like you don't have to get all this right today, but you can leave it where it is because we're close to where you need to be on your budget. But what I would recommend is before you do each of these items is to do a deep dive into each of them. Right. Because like a lot of times we just go with it, that's what we can do it's going to take you a couple months to do the flip. And over that couple months, we want to be working on every little detail because we don't want to accidentally pay for 200 sheets when maybe it's 150. It's fine to put it in your budget, but then as you're going through the budget, your job is to narrow down every one of these things and measure every one of them and get really, really detailed. You don't need it for the budget originally because we're close and we know like you said, worst case scenario. I agree with that. I do think 200 sheets would be a worst case scenario. Best case though, maybe it's 125, 150, and that saves quite a bit of money. So that's always good to know that. And then other than that, I think we're pretty solid for now because the main thing like right now that you'd want to focus on obviously is your demo. So you got, let's see, where did the demo at?
Demo I got done this past week, but
cool.
I think the next step is the roof, just because it does have the hole to it.
Yeah, yep.
So
But you can do
a funnel.
Yes. So we do have roofers too, but like I said, you could totally reach out, but yeah, start a funnel for the roof if you want. We did just do for flat roofers, which usually are the same, so I can give you access to the funnel, which has flat roofers and painters in it. So you could totally call the flat roofers. And you can just run the funnel just for practice too. You can totally do either. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So yes, the next is the roof, but simultaneously with the roof would be somebody doing framing. So the next thing, I don't know if you need waterproofing, if you need the basement waterproofed. The basement we weren't finishing, but so framing and roofing would be the next two things. And they
did have waterproofing in there. I wanted to put a French drain in the basement just because it had there was a little bit of water, I think, coming from that access hatch, which I'm going to seal off and close eventually.
Okay. Well, what you want to look at before you do that, since you're not finishing it, you don't need to do it to get started. You could do it later on if you want.
Okay.
Pay attention to see where leak's coming from. If it's coming from the access hatch, you close that, and then all of a sudden you don't have water. Then why do a French drain in the basement?
You're good.
If you see that, if you think there's water coming through the walls in all different spots, then go ahead and do it right. But sometimes we find that it's coming from a door and we fix the door and we don't have to spend $4 or $5K on waterproofing, right? And we can save that money. We just fix the door. Sometimes we see that just one wall's leaking and all the other three are fine. And just one's leaking. I'll just do a French drain on that one wall. Does that make sense? Because walls order the price of 4 walls. Now, I'll never do this to the tune of trying to cut corners. This is just like if you don't fix something that doesn't need to be fixed. If I've had one student who waterproofed a basement, and or he was going to waterproof it. We caught it. He was a higher level student. He was like, no, you said like $7K for waterproofing. I was like, but did you check you actually need it? Because he was just saying, oh yeah, how much for waterproofing? Everyone was like, yeah, you need waterproofing. He never really asked anyone if you actually needed it. So when we seen some mold, we found that it was not actually coming from the walls. It was coming from a leaky pipe. And when he fixed the leaky pipe, it was all good, right? The water, or it's coming from the leaky door. Now, like if, be conclusive, if you're 100% certain that's the case, then feel comfortable to do that. You also get more leadway to do it when you're not finishing the basement. If you were finishing the basement, I would recommend to take err in the side of caution, because the last thing you'd want to do is make a rash judgment, then put framing and sheetrock and wiring and all that, and then it floods out and ruins everything. So, we definitely are going to lean more towards doing waterproofing when we finish things than we are when things are unfinished, because the unfinished, you could literally do the waterproofing today, or you could do a week before you finish. Wouldn't really matter. That makes sense. because you know, you're not finishing down there. So if you do have time to now investigate and see, maybe it's
Okay, that makes sense.
done. Yeah, we'll get an opportunity to save some dollars, maybe not, but we
That makes
definitely
sense.
want to try either way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So roofing, framing, and the framers, would that be the same person I'd have to do, you know, there's the two joists, not joists, but the support beams on the bottom, the 6x8s?
Yeah, yep. The framer, you'd want to get that together and be like, frame out these basic walls, you know, tear down that wall and put, you know, a beam across for me and then fix the beam in the basement. Yeah, it'd be all the same people. Yeah, if they can do framing, they can
Okay.
do all that stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks, Mike, I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Good luck, and let me know if I can help with anything. How about anybody else got any specific questions I can help with? We're going to be going into our next call shortly, so if you guys have a question, you know, let me know. If not, forever hold your peace.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve.
Real quick, so when framing, when we say we'll provide materials, we're just referring to the wood, right? They'll bring nails, screws, all that kind of stuff, I guess.
No, I mean, we might buy the nails. I mean, stuff like that. Yeah, just nails.
Okay.
So we generally
Gotcha.
will buy
Okay.
nails and stuff like that. I mean, you know, they provide like you know, let's go on my phone, like acting weird. Never seen it do that before. It's like cutting off on its own. It's like it's being hacked. So we can buy the screws, no problem. They'll obviously bring their hammers and tools, but we can buy screws or nails. I mean, that's not a big deal in the overall scheme of what's going on.
Okay. Do they tend to shoot those, Mike, or nail them in with a hammer?
Well, if they're smart, they're shooting them. That's a good question to ask too, by the way, right?
Okay. Yeah, well, that's all I was saying. Do we buy nails if they're using a gun? Like, we need to know what kind of nails, right? Or I guess it's just a...
Yeah, they'll tell you. They'll order it with the
Okay.
material, or you know, they'll be like, "Yeah, I need this." And they'll order like a box of like gun nails. But if
Gotcha.
you want to ask that, like, dude, are you using a gun? Because I have to tell you, like, I don't care how good you are swinging a hammer. It takes a lot of energy to swing a hammer versus
Right.
having a gun that does it for you. Like,
Okay.
you know, I had some old school dudes I work with who were like, you know, nah, we're not doing it that way, and had me like swinging a hammer. And I'm like, my brain just doesn't work when I do something that takes twice as long. I'm just like, stop trying to make me do that. And like, this one guy, the old guy was teaching me to frame at my own house. And he's my stepfather. And he was really good. And he come work for $20 an hour. Guy was like a master framer, but he's like, I want you to work with me. He had me running in the dumpster and getting like a 2-foot piece of 2x4. Now keep in mind, a 2x4, it's 8 foot long, cost about $2.30. And he got me to get like a 2-foot piece and take like 17 nails out of it so we could save it. And it took me like 40 minutes to do so. So I took and threw it away, and he went in the dumpster and got it back out and did it himself. And the guy's like, and I'm like, and he was a great framer, man. He never stopped work. I couldn't keep up with him, to be honest. He was like 65, 70 years old, and I couldn't keep up with him, the guy. But he was super, like, anal about, like, no, you're wasting wood. And I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking, like, I'm not spending 45 minutes of my time to save, like, $1.50. Or not even that. It was like 80 cents. Right? It was a bad use of my time. That's why he was making $20 an hour as a master framer. You know, he just wasn't a smart business person, but he was a really good framer. But he was definitely not using a gun. And there's many people like him that don't use guns. But if they're good framers, they are going to be blowing through there with a gun, and like they're going to be quick, right? They're going to be fast, and they're going to realize that like a gun creates efficiencies, and it's like $200 for a gun. Like if that's what you do, you should own a gun.
Okay.
And it would
Gotcha.
suggest
Okay.
they actually do a lot of framing, right? That they're not just like,
Right.
you know, somebody's like, I can frame. So I might even ask that question, because on something as big as your house, that might start to give me a feel for whether they actually do enough framing to own a framing gun.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Right. Yeah. So good stuff. Glory, did you have a question? Okay, you're jumping on. You have something you want to ask? No? Okay, cool. I was just checking. Make sure we didn't leave you out. Anybody else have something we want to go over? Well, we had some really great contractor questions today. I hope you guys got some good value from kind of the deep dive and the digging that we're doing on cutting cost and pushing things down. That's why we did Cracking the Contractor Code. I told you guys, sometime in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start the house that we're meeting at on Saturday. So for everybody who don't know, we actually have a training on Saturday. It's on the group, but the house we're meeting at, Brooke, is the one that I'm going to do, and I'm going to document every aspect of what we do. And I'm not going to use any of my people to do it. I'm going to use a funnel, just like you're using a funnel. And everyone's going to come from it. I'm going to document me talking to the people in the funnel, marketing to them, negotiating with them, and show you that even I can get the pricing You know, it does not necessarily going to be people who I've done business with before. I can do it with random strangers just the same way. And so it's going to take me longer to do the house, obviously, because I'll be building my team. So, you know, I'm not immune to that either. If I got to start a whole new team, I won't be able to do a house like that in, say, 6 to 8 weeks. It might take me 3-4 months to do it even, because I got to take and run a funnel. I'm super busy, but I want to do it the same way you would do it. So first of all, I get to understand what you're experiencing and how I can best help, but also I just want to show to you the exact process. So we're meeting there. We're going to start with doing the plan and the estimate on Saturday. So Saturday, we're going to be just going through and we're going to measure things. Same thing Les was talking about, anyone else who's doing a flip. First thing is we got to kind of get a real clear understanding of our budget. We want to measure the units it takes. And I'm going to show you how to do some of the core things that we can measure, right? We can measure sheetrock, we can measure doors, we can do all that. I will have a Facebook Live for the people who aren't local, so you guys will be able to see that and watch what we're doing. And we'll probably throw it in the contractor code too, so you'll have access to it later. Any other, somebody was jumping in or no?
Yeah, Mike, I just, you said that you're gonna do the show. Do we come to your city to see you do that, or just?
You're welcome to come to the city if you want to travel. You'd be welcome to come, and we'd love to meet you and come down. It's a couple-hour ride, I'm sure, but you're more than welcome to come. And you know, it's about a half-day training, and we're gonna have lunch afterward. So we usually go to lunch around noon. We'll start at 9. So you know, have like 3-4 hours of doing it. If you can't make it though, and if that's too much, I know Ray's coming down from New Jersey, so he's like, no, I'm coming this weekend, but he has some other reason he's coming, not just for the training, but he's coming down for something else, and he'll be here. But you know, we'll make sure we do it on video too, so you can watch it there and participate like remotely. So either way, I'll make sure you're good to go.
Oh, definitely we're interested to come. Could you tell us exactly which day?
It's Saturday, and if you go on the, are you on the Facebook group?
Okay. I don't check Facebook that much. Probably I missed it.
Yeah, so it's on the Facebook group as an event. If you go into events, you'll see it's scheduled, and it has the address, it has the time, which is Saturday at 9 to 12, and then 12 we're going to go to lunch together, and it's in Hamilton, which is really not far off of like 95, or so, you know, if you're coming down 95, it'd be pretty easy to get to.
Right. Okay, I'll check that out.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to meet you and have you guys come down. I think it'd be a great exercise. This is probably one of the better infield trainings that we'll be doing. So yeah, if anyone's thinking about coming or, you know, has got to move some stuff around to make it, this is one of the more valuable ones we'll be doing. So I'd be really happy for anyone to come that can, or watch the video, at least, you know, participate live so you can ask questions. Danya will be doing it to the best of her ability. So she'll be hitting the button. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you're trying to figure out how she can video.
Not many this time.
No, we already figured out how to video it correctly, and she'll be doing it right. And then you can ask questions on the Facebook Live. Just say, hey, Mike, this or that, and then you know, we'll answer questions as we're going through. So it's not ideal, but like Kim obviously is not coming from, you know, all the way over in Washington to see us, but you know, we'd love to have her. If she gets some Southwest points, she could make it just for the fun of it. But come in the summer, Kim, if you are going to come. You don't want to come during it's cold. It sucks here. And the winter time's no fun. It's like, sadly enough, we are doing some other stuff for the higher level group in time here. So yeah, she has it up. That's the picture of the house, and that's the house we're going to flip from scratch to finish and let everybody check it out. So yeah, it'll be fun. It's a little bit of a challenge for me. I got to start over like a newbie, but you know what? That'll be pretty cool to do. I think it'll be a cool opportunity to figure out exactly what's going on and what's hard and how to fix it, because that's what I want to be able to provide for you guys. So awesome stuff. Thank you guys. We're going to jump off so I can go get a drink of water real quick and use the bathroom before I jump on my next call. And everyone have a good New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and all that. And next week, we're going to go back to our normal schedule, which will be Tuesday. And then if we got any adjustments, I'll let you guys know from there, because we do have some adjustments, but I'll keep you informed. Okay. So we know. All right, everyone, have a good day and good holiday, everyone. See you guys.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
too.
Mike.
See you guys.